join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out on this somewhat rainy night. Can I get a roll call, Ms. Fitzpatrick?
Mr. Burns?
Present.
Mr. Cook?
Present.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Present here. Two present and two here.
Can I get a motion on the reports?
I will make a motion that we approve the report submitted for May and June for the code compliance and code enforcement, the dog control officer for May. I don't remember seeing an ECI report for May, so I'm going to not make a motion on that. But the fire departments for the second quarter, both Patterson and Blue Lake, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I want to compliment Eileen, if you could pass along to Antoinette, she sent us all of the reports in one complete email. It was very helpful.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
tell
you.
her.
That was great.
Somebody like to make a motion on the supervisor's report?
I'll make the motion that the town board approve the supervisor's report for the month of May 2017. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion on the minutes?
I'll make a motion on the minutes. I make a motion to approve public hearing minutes for the Polo Victory Cup of June 28, 2017, the public hearing minutes of Green Energy dated June 28, 2017, and town board meeting minutes dated June 14, 2017. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Audit of the bills.
I'll make a motion that the town board approve abstract number 12 dated June 30th, 2017 in the amount of $259,933.48.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first on my agenda is a resolution on the standard workday. This is something that all elected officials have to do. They have to track their time for the first few months. And we are playing a little bit of catch up here because most of us have done this, but we need to do this for Michael Crusoe, who is our judge. So be it resolved that the town of Patterson, location code 30394, hereby establishes the following standard workday for the town justice and will report the officials to the New York State and local retirement system based on their record of activities. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on my agenda, every year the town and the Justice Court both have to go through annual audits by an independent auditor. We have completed those audits. I have a resolution here for the acceptance of the independent auditor's report for the Justice Court 2016. I'd like to introduce the resolution and ask that it be entered into the minutes as though read.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Similarly, I have the acceptance of the independent audit for the town's annual audit. And I'd like to introduce this resolution and ask that it be entered into the minutes as though read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Last on my agenda, Russ, you want to come up here for a minute? Yeah, just no big shakes. The town has received a request to see if we would like to accept a parcel of land over in the Putnam Lake area, 15 Manchester Road. You familiar with it, Russ?
Yeah.
Okay. I did take a look at the parcel of land. It does slope off steeply from Overland. It is an unbuildable lot. It has drainage running down through the center of it, being discharged across Manchester. And there really is no value to this land to the town other, it's this lot right in the
Got
center.
it. Thank you.
The green didn't come out so well. It's this
Okay.
lot right here.
Got it.
There might be some value in stormwater. So if the town is interested in me pursuing the donation of the land, what I will do is I will reach out to the East of Hudson Watershed, talk to them about including it into the town's stormwater program, and if they're amenable, then we can move forward.
Is this an area that's susceptible to flooding if we put like a
It's not
basin
just,
or something in there, or just, you're saying directing discharge, or?
it's got drainage being discharged on it now. It is not subject to flooding, but we could divert some of the roadways around onto the lot and then, treat the water before it goes on its merry way down the road to Putnam Lake.
Who owns it now?
I don't recall the woman's name. I have all the information downstairs.
Okay.
I wasn't planning on announcing her name.
No, I should have said it's privately owned now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And adjacent property owners had no interest in it?
Nope.
Okay. I was say that because that's bigger than the adjacent property who owns the house right there. It seemed like that might be a nice backyard for them, but,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. So, what's your pleasure? What would you like me to do?
So you're gonna go to east of Hudson and
Are you okay with doing that?
then say, yeah, I mean, it's like, get their okay
Okay.
to include it in stormwater, would get credit.
Yes, it probably won't be for years, but
Yeah.
yes. Well, listen, we're in
The
years
state-
6 through 10 of a God only knows how long.
State's not
program.
giving us any money to do it, so.
Okay, then I will pursue this.
Be nice to know too, if we do this, we'll take ownership, that, come off the tax roll,
It will.
so we know how much we're getting hit with. Don't mind.
Mr. Burns.
All right, first item on my agenda, we received a memorandum from Metro North. They conducted field inspections in late 2016 of 2 unguarded railroad crossings. Both were on private property. One is at Putnam Materials and one is on Marble Quarry Road. It seems this was just basically to inspect the crossings, see what condition they were in, if there was any recommendations. I'll read into the record sort of what their recommendations were. It says, as a result of the on-site inspection, CTC proposes the following recommendations for each crossing to be considered by the interested parties to improve safety. For Putnam Materials, install grade crossing warnings signs in advance of the crossing. Install top lines for grade crossings at stop locations. If sounding of train horns is a noise in this area, the installation of wayside horns should be considered as an alternative to limit the noise of the grade crossing area alone. Marble Quarry Road was similar. Install stop signs and crossings in both directions. Consider installation of tubular markers along the edge of the roadway. Consider installation of railroad flashing light signals for both directions, and consider relocation of railroad case to improve visibility for motorists. Are these recommendations that private parties have to follow, or is this just?
So it was a very interesting conversation when I said these very nice recommendations. I agree those would make the.
When would you like to do that?
Crossing, yes, when is
Would Metro North like to do that?
installing those? The
Yeah.
response was, oh no, that's not our property. The town would need to pay for those installations. So this, actually yesterday I met with Metro North out there. It was very interesting. I now understand why the MTA is having such bad financial problems, because I scheduled a meeting with one individual, 8 showed up, and the first thing we had to do was a full safety meeting.
Did you do the Pledge of Allegiance too?
No. But what came out of the meeting, I think was fairly positive. One of the problems that we have is that both the DOT and MTA list Marble Quarry Lane as a private road. And I
Beg to differ.
expressed upon them and sat there and pointed out the sign that it has public access, and therefore, as far as I'm concerned, that it was a public road, and that changed everything.
That's
They're
by the
going-
rec. That's by the rec center going down
Yep,
to the.
that's by the rec center. So they're gonna work on petitioning to change it from a private to a public. That would open up section 130 funds,
To make the
which are there
improvements.
through the Federal Highway Administration to actually make the safety improvements.
Could I also just inquire, because if you remember Mr. Kevin Nagy, who had the issues with the train horns?
Yes.
Number 3, it says, if sounding of train horns is a noise issue in this area, the installation of a wayside horn should be considered as an alternative in order to limit the noise to the grade crossing area alone.
Yes.
That's the first I've ever read that. Does that mean that if we did that, that the train would not sound its horn as it crossed that?
No, With that, yes, that means that as the train is approaching the station, the train would no longer blow its horn. There would be a horn parked right in Kevin Nagy's backyard that would sound continuously.
I see. So it really wouldn't solve the train noise issue in that
No,
area?
so we're not doing that.
Okay, all right.
I also had a conversation with Metro North while I was out there. There was a program to reduce the horn noise, the quiet zones. And what I found out, and it is none of the literature that I've read anywhere, that Metro North's opinion is that we could petition for a quiet zone if there is a guarded crossing. And under the Section 130 funds, that was what we're going to be looking at doing, actually having a gate out there, which would be much better than the current condition we had now. I mean, I've been here while people following their GPS have driven down the railroad tracks from Marble Quarry Lane twice.
Wow.
So I definitely would support having a guarded crossing out there. So we talked about the quiet zone a little bit, and their opinion is, and they haven't given me the information yet, that that would be fine. We could do a quiet zone out there if we did certain safety improvements, but then all the liability on anything happening out there comes back to the town, not to the MTA anymore. So we're not doing a quiet zone out there, because we are certainly not going to
insure the railroad?
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Okay.
So if we do go down this path and it is successful, that we can make it a public way and we can get the funds from Section 130, Highway would be, well, we would be asking Highway to make some minor improvements to widen the road out there to between 20 and 24 feet, put some bumper strips in, put some signage up. But the rest of the improvements, the guarded crossing, gates, and we're also talking about, there's a control building out there, moving the control building back onto town property to open up the site distance. That would all be paid for out of the Section 130 funds.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay?
And how soon does anybody expect getting one Section 130 funds? I mean, is that another one that's down the road? Or?
Well, listen, it's federal funds. We would have to work through the DOT and MTA. So I fully intend to aggressively start the process and let the next supervisor finish it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, next item on my agenda is Putnam Lake Carp Gate.
It's gonna take 10 years to do that?
At least 10 years.
This is more just informational. We are sending out the carp gate to bid for, so if there's any contractors in town or in the county who would be interested in bidding on it, contact the, will we have it up? Will I have the bid specs up on the website?
Generally, we don't. We put the notice up and we put up a little information, but we like to control who gets them, because if during the process we get any questions, we have to respond to all the contractors.
So contact the supervisor's office or the clerk?
Town clerk.
Town clerk. So contact the town clerk if you're interested in submitting a bid. Last item on my agenda, the courthouse, I believe when it was constructed, had some issues with nitrates, and a UV system was installed to treat the water. Recently, a check of the system determined that it apparently had been circumvented and was not presently working, which required some emergency funds to repair and reactivate the system. The total sum of that cost was $1,272.64 for work performed by Chemco Water and Wastewater Specialists. So I will make a motion to approve the emergency repairs that were performed at the courthouse for the repair to the UVRO system. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I will defer anything else to this other business.
Okay, Mr. D'Andriano could not be here tonight, so the first item we have on the agenda is a public assembly permit for Greenergy, did I say that right? Greenergy Productions.
Good afternoon, Lorenzo Angelino again on behalf of Greenergy, and Ms. Drummond is here. She's just remaining seating because she's has gone through surgery and is still not fully recovered from it, but she did come to this last meeting. We got the response from the DOT stating that there is no special use permit necessary to have our security guards and signage that nobody parks on the shoulder there or anything. We also got, this is just a mock-up for the board of what the signs are gonna look like for the event parking. The event parking now is at the firehouse and MTA. So those are the two parking lots, and the shuttle will be running through those. All marketing material is now gonna reflect that there's no parking. It's only gonna be reserved for like VIP tickets. So the only way to get parking at the location is to buy it in advance through a VIP ticket. But all the marketing is gonna say, these are the parking lots, the MTA and the firehouse, and shuttles are gonna be constantly running throughout the day. So the only thing going to the actual location is if you take a taxi or something like that and get dropped off, but that's it. There's no parking. The parking, like I said. And anybody who buys a ticket, she gets the email and contact. So this is actually gonna be sent out to everybody who has a ticket. So they're gonna get this information directly to their email. So the only people, and then the signage, so really there's not, like, we're trying to reduce a lot of the amount of people that might actually go directly to the location, because we're gonna advertise that the parking is not on site, but at those two locations, and the only people that can park there have to pay VIP, which will be limited, right? It's a limited amount, and of course the staff and the vendors, they're allowed to park there, but that's it. We also had an email from the Putnam County, or no, the state troopers, and they are assigning a trooper to the event. So the state trooper in Brewster will be assigning a trooper to the event to be there on location, assist with traffic if there is any issues at all, although we hope we've alleviated all those issues, but there'll be a trooper stationed there at the whole time. We have the certificate of liability for the firehouse, now, or that parking lot too, so I'll give that in. I'll give you the email from the troopers.
You have something in writing from the firehouse?
Get something from the firehouse. Oh, she didn't, it was all on the phone. I could get something, I could drop something off, but they had multiple conversations.
Yes. Eleanor said it last meeting also.
Yeah.
It's always good to get it in writing.
Yeah, I'd like to see it in writing.
Okay. And then here's the emails from the DOT and the email from the state troopers and the certificate.
One copy?
Yes.
Now, are you going to have drop-off, like, what if someone has someone who's like a handicapped person and wants to be dropped off? Are they allowed to come in for drop-off?
Yeah, they'll be dropped, because there'll be shuttles going through all day. So if somebody takes a taxi or hires their own shuttle service, they'll be able to come through and just drop off and leave.
And then leave, okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like just for drop-off and for that VIP ticket. So if there is any handicap, they can be dropped off. We'll probably reserve some spots if they really need the handicap bus or anything like that to stay there too. Because there is some parking at the location, but really all the vendors are going to be out of the parking lot in the field in the back. So there's it's going to be really reserved for that VIP or just to pass through type thing.
Is there a sense of how many people this can accommodate?
The parking?
The site, like in other words,
the
how many
site.
people you could potentially have visiting the site?
It's much larger than necessary. Last year, and I put that in the application, last year the maximum amount throughout the weekend was 400. That was the maximum, but since it's spread out over 2 days, it fluctuated. So there's more than ample space. The field goes way back, so if there is more than that, but we don't expect any more than that, and that's the maximum amount at one time. So it's really never going to reach that total amount, judging from the past 3 years.
We've talked a little bit about the parking for this event. on Route 22.
Yeah.
Equally of concern, there's a number of commercial parking lots, small parking lots in that immediate area. We want to make sure that none of your attendees are going to be parking in those parking lots.
Mhm.
And similarly, there is a residential neighborhood, a residential road. Sorry. There's a residential road right next to this event, Danby Lane. People cannot be parking on Danby Lane. I'm encouraged to hear that you're going to have a trooper there. He will be working for you that day.
Yes, he's assigned, that's what they,
Okay.
gave me. He's
So-
assigned there for the day, or for 2 days, it's both days. And then also, we have 2 of the security guards that will be in the, there. That's, their only job is to make sure that the traffic is flowing and nobody is parking. So even with that, it would be if they saw people walking from other areas, it'd be, that would be cause to stop them and say, where did you guys park? Are you just, do you live near here, or did you park in our parking lot? Because that would be,
Sure. Security is great.
Mhm.
Trooper can ticket and tow. And that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. So the goal and the real push is really to make sure that they use the parking lots, and that's what all the marketing material is going to say. It's free. Those parking lots are free, and they're, shuttles right from there. So it's going to be like really promoted and easy for people to use those lots.
What are the hours again of the event?
11 to 7 on Saturday.
11 to 7 on Saturday
11
and
to 6 on Sunday.
11 to 6 on Sunday.
I actually just had one question about who would be organizing setup of the event on Saturday, because I want to make sure that the people that are coming to be at your event, not the customers, but the
vendors?
the vendors, that they have good guidance as to how to set up, because it sounded like there was a concern in the past with there not being, and our fire inspector ended up doing more than he probably should have to help out with that.
We're gonna have China Hill. She's gonna be there from.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can pull the
yeah.
mic right out of
Yeah.
the stand.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mrs. Drummond.
China Hill. She helped us last year, and she'll be there from Friday, setting up. And Saturday, the vendors will be coming in from 8 to 10. So she'll be there in charge, and my sponsor person, Mary Ellen Case, is also going to be there helping.
And who is China Hill?
China Hill, she's related to Cherise Hill, who is Events to Remember, who does a lot of events management, but she's working with me and helping, assisting me with the event.
So she's paid by you?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that you
Yes.
were stating you would have someone there.
Yes.
Okay. What happens if the day of the event China Hill decides not to work for you, or she doesn't show up? What is the contingency plan for that?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, the contingency plan is my cousin is coming up from Jamaica as well. She's
Okay.
going to be here for 2 weeks.
Will you be there?
Yes.
So, I mean,
I
you'll
should
be
better
involved,
by then. Yes,
You
I'll
may not be
there.
as mobile, but you should be there to direct.
Yes, I am going to be there. I have
Good.
to be. I have
Okay.
a choice.
Well, I would
But,
hope you'd be there, but that was kind of what was driving my question.
Yes, I will be there.
Okay.
I will be there. I'll be better by then.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, my cousin is also coming up from Jamaica, and she's going to be a chef there doing a demonstration, pastry demonstration.
Very nice.
It's on the Sunday, because I'm having a Jamaican segment on the Sunday with chef cooking and music. So she's doing a pastry demonstration, and she's going to be assisting when she's not. So,
Very nice.
and plus
Okay.
my daughter will be there as well, helping.
Great.
So I have it all covered this year. Thanks.
Good. Thank you.
Do I need any more questions?
Not at this moment, but
Anybody
you never
else
know.
have any more questions? Anybody? I see Mr. Murphy from Danby Lane. Have any
Mr.
questions?
Murphy. Hi, Mr. Murphy. Huh?
I guess I need that.
Okay.
I have no problem with somebody trying to put something on, whatever you want to do. as long as it's taken care of the right way. I can tell you one thing, just for us to get out of Danby Lane and in, we almost get killed every day. So I hope the trooper and the people are gonna do a good job. I don't know, maybe you could even put a sign at the end of Danby Lane.
Yeah.
Residential road, no.
Yeah, we're gonna put like a no parking sign.
But I'm gonna put cones just in case, but,
Russ,
you know, it's just,
is that
I
something-
don't need a problem down there, and I don't think any of the neighbors do. You know, you are having some wine, and it's good that they're going down there and they're being driven down to where they're being shuttled and all of that. I have no problem with the party, just as long as everything's safe and you're trying to keep them off our road and keep them off 22, because they'll get killed out there.
It's just one
That's
of
all
our
I-
big
That's why we have
concerns
the
is,
troopers out.
yeah.
Russ, you have a problem with putting a sign out?
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay, good.
All right. I guess we're at that point where we've got to decide whether we're going to approve the permit or not. Do you agree? Anybody have any other questions?
Yes, absolutely. I don't have any other questions,
Alright.
so.
I mean, I think they addressed everything that we had issues with, the troopers, the parking, the shuttle.
It's
The
now just
only-
a matter of doing it, right?
You know, I want to go on record as saying I have great reservation about approving this event. I really do. For two reasons. One is, I was at last year's event. I saw the problems. It wasn't handled well. If it's that way again, I will never support another permit for your event. I'm telling you
Agreed.
right up front. The other is, I think this is not an appropriate location. It's too small, doesn't have the parking. If we were talking about the firehouse, if we were talking about where you had it last year, I think you have more space, it's easier to control the traffic.
Where was it last year?
It was down on 311, Mr. Capasso's farm.
Oh, okay.
So, while I think you've been very good about answering all the questions this year, and I'm gonna vote yes on this, I want you to know that I'm doing so reluctantly. So, and it's back in your court to prove me wrong, to show that you can run a professional event, okay? If you're not out there this year running a professional event, we're gonna take steps to make sure that everybody is safe, including if we have to close the event down in the middle. Okay? Okay.
Well said.
We have insurance in place, Rich?
Excuse me?
Is insurance in place, certificates? I heard mention of the fire chief.
Yes.
Fire department.
We have
but I
some of the
haven't seen-
insurances. We need you to take a look at them. I think you have taken a look at some of them.
Right, but no.
And there
not
was,
fait accompli. I would like
it's
to-
not, no. We need to wrap up the insurances. I'll send you the attorney's information so you can work directly with them to
Give
make
me my
sure
card.
all the insurances are up to snuff.
So why don't we make it subject to the insurance being reviewed by council and getting something in writing from Eleanor, since that is
Yep.
technically not our lot to provide.
Correct?
She certainly seemed like she spoke with authority that she would be willing to offer it, so.
And having the trooper out there.
Right.
I mean, that's
Which-
a deal breaker for me.
And they put them, they mentioned the trooper by name in the correspondence, so they have somebody already slated for that,
Yes, that's
which
great.
I think is great.
I don't care who it is as long as
Agreed.
it's a state trooper.
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
yeah.
all right, you want to make it in the form of a motion with those conditions?
All right, so subject to the conditions just stated, I'll make a motion to approve the assembly permit for Green Energy, and just to reiterate, it will be subject to a review of council of the insurance certificates and to their satisfaction. Something in writing from the fire department memorializing the understanding that they are allowing you and giving you access to the lot, and that the state trooper will be present. Do we need anything from MTA? We're past MTA, right? Because they were in park.
Yeah,
That was
we're
not an
good.
issue. So subject to those conditions, I'll move for approval of the permit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
We'll send you the permit.
Please do a great job out there,
Yeah, thank you.
because we want you there.
I
We
know,
just
I
want
do.
it to be safe and successful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Hope you have a nice recovery.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next on Mr. D'Andriano's agenda was the Putnam County Mutual Aid Agreement. We had this before the town board at the last meeting. Mr. Cook had raised a number of issues, very valid issues. We sent it back to the county. We received responses. I think everybody's seen those responses. Thank you, Charlie, for being so diligent on that.
No problem.
So is everybody comfortable with moving this forward?
Yes.
Okay. Counselor, I've modified your resolutions. I just want to let you know. So to participate, we need to adopt 3 resolutions. The first one I have here is a resolution authorizing the Town of Patterson EMS to participate in the Putnam County Mutual Aid Plan. I'd like to move this resolution and ask that it be entered into the minutes as though read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The second is a resolution authorizing the Putnam Lake Fire Department to participate in the Putnam County Mutual Aid Plan. Similarly, I'd like to move this and ask that it be entered into the minutes as though read.
Second.
And the third resolution, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving too quick. Resolution authorizing the Town of Patterson Fire Department number 1 to participate in the Putnam County Mutual Aid Plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody knows the drill. All right. Last on tonight's agenda for Mr. D'Andriano was Xenia Road. We had received a request asking for a street light. The street light was there to, because the individual and some of his neighbors felt the road was too dark. We did send this over to the planning board for a recommendation, and we've received their recommendation back. Has everybody had a chance to review that? Does anybody have any comments or questions on that? Essentially, the planning board is recommending we not approve the street light, that street lights are generally installed for reasons of safety, traffic control, and there was no justification for installing the street light. So I'd like to make a motion that we deny the request for placing a street light on 6 Xenia Road based on the recommendation of the planning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Question, the resident that wants this streetlight, they still have an option of putting some lighting on their own property?
They absolutely
So
do.
they could certainly still have recourse, yeah, okay.
Mr. Cook, you're up.
Next, we have a request from our Recreation Director to approve the ordering of ladies' staff T-shirts. And the low bidder was Select Sportswear. Purchased 29 of them at the cost of $333.50. So I'll make a motion that we approve that going forward. So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, similar, we have a request to approve the purchase of 15 basketball championship shirts, again from Select Sportswear at $184. So I'll make a motion that we approve that purchase. So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next, we have, I believe, a request from, how do you say this, Rich?
Lapcor's.
Lapcor's LLC Recreation Park to, relative to property that's on 311, just before that overpass. It was an old railroad bridge. That they wanted to, or I guess they have purchased, and they want to move their paintball operation from over at Thunder Ridge to this property here, and requires either zoning change or special use permit.
Well,
Business.
it requires a zoning change for sure. It's probably also going to require site plan approval. The question is, thanks. You know, how we're going to approach this and whether the town is going to support this. Essentially, what they're doing is looking to open the property up. It's 146 acres and change, I believe, for commercial recreation. They want to move both Liberty Paintball over onto the site, but also hold a number of different activities such as laser tag, some soccer ball where you sit inside the ball and roll around the field, and a number of different activities. There would be a small building.
Bubble soccer is actually.
Thank you, bubble soccer.
where my daughter's on the team. At
Here's our
Binghamton.
representative.
You're gonna lead the team.
It's a lot of fun. You put on a big, like a bubble, like plastic thing, and then you run around after a soccer ball and you run into other people. YouTube. Check it out on YouTube. It's a very popular at college. But I have not personally played it.
So, one of the other advantages of having this site as commercial recreation is it butts up against the railroad over there, which is slated to be part of the rail trails someday, we hope. I've been encouraging the county to move forward on it. It's on again, off again. But this would be an ideal location to set up, a bike shop and put an easy ramp onto the rail trails so people could come here, rent a bike, and get on the trails.
So
Right, so
where is the property again? Can you just say?
as you're going down 311, heading towards 84,
Right.
you come to the first railroad trestle, the one that Pete worked on
Right.
with Metro North to
Mhm.
get it repaired.
Mm-hmm.
It's just before that on the south or the left side.
Oh, there's like a little trail. Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Just before the Baptist church.
Right.
the question is, what is the town going to do with this? I personally think this is a phenomenal idea for this property. I will tell you that as of, 2 months ago, it was in the process of being taken by the state. And we actually put some inquiries out and convinced the state that maybe this wasn't the property to take. So we have an opportunity to keep it on the tax rolls and do something valuable, I think, to the town, which will fit into a couple of other concepts which are going on right around the corner. One of them, I think it's safe, I can say, that is somebody is looking to do a bed and breakfast along with a new barn that they will be holding weddings in as a wedding venue.
On this-
Around the corner from this, not on this property.
Get married and then go have a paintball.
Soccer.
Or bubble soccer.
Yep,
Soccer.
or something.
The new trend in weddings.
Yes.
Coming to Patterson.
Very
There you
progressive.
go. So, I'm bringing this up now because it appeared before the planning board. They're getting ready to submit a formal application to the planning board. When they do that, the next step in the process for the planning board is to visit the site. I think it would be a good idea for the town board to accompany the planning board out there. That would be
Great idea.
my recommendation to everybody, so we could all get a better feel for the property and what might be going on out there as we contemplate whether it's appropriate to do a zoning change onto the property. And yes, Mr. Major, it is contemplated in the master plan. I have looked, and it is supported, and I will be happy to provide that documentation later on. So, it's not a question of spot zoning. Spot zoning is where we are doing something strictly for the benefit of the property owner with no real merit for the rest of the town. That is not the case here.
Not that I think we have to look at all 140 acres, but I do think we should go out and get a feel for at least the area that's off of
146 acres.
146 acres.
Charlie, you can stay out of this area here that says wetland buffer. We don't want to get you in trouble with Teddy.
Boy, you
Get
can
him
take
drunk.
the guy out of the planning board, but you can't take the
No.
planning board out of the.
I think it's very interesting for those of you who don't know that sitting on your town board right now are 2 past chairmen of the planning board and a 3rd planning board member.
Guess I'm odd man out.
Vice chair.
Kevin, you're
Vice
not
chair,
at all.
I'm
You're
sorry,
awesome.
vice chair. And definitely not. You're never odd man out. All right.
Yeah, I think it's certainly worthwhile moving ahead, and let's go take a look.
Okay,
Sounds great.
so I will coordinate that with the planning board.
Sounds
We
good.
miss those early Saturday mornings anyway, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
You know?
New man buys breakfast. I guess we're not, the 3 of us aren't gonna be new man.
Well, since Pete's not here, we have to elect him.
I would like to add one item to the agenda. And that is, we received a memo from Denise Montana, our EMS administrator, about a new hire. And she so states, I would like permission to offer employment pending civil service and background checks are cleared to Sean, you pronounce it,
Wojciechowski.
Wyszynski, Mr. Wyszynski will be hired as an EMT for the town of Patterson with a part-time status and at an hourly rate of $15. So I will make a motion that the town board approve Mr. Wyszynski's being hired as a part-time EMT man at $15 an hour. So,
Second.
And I'm just gonna reinforce that it's subject to him meeting the civil service requirements.
And doing the workplace violence and sexual harassment training.
Yeah, yeah. All in favor?
Aye. Great
Now,
candidate.
would
We
you like to
interviewed him
finish your
earlier.
agenda?
Finish your.
Oh, it's not
He's
on-
done. He's done.
How about I got a different agenda?
what do I got?
I
don't have anything on that,
Crept
buddy.
in there. All right,
Oh.
all right.
You
Then
wanna
we'll
give
do
me
it.
something? I'll do
No,
it.
we'll do it later under other business.
Okay, then we'll do this also again. Okay.
Good?
We are good.
All right, the first item we have on my agenda is to talk about a train whistle going by at the right time.
Quiet zones.
Yeah, workplace violence and sexual harassment prevention training. Our safety committee supports this training, the town board supports it, and we have a majority of compliance with our town employees and certainly town board, but there are some stragglers out there. Some of them are from our volunteer board, some of them are hiding their face as we speak, and we really just need to have a conversation about how to get majority compliance with this training, which is really a good training. It's online, it only takes about a half hour, maybe less, depending on your computer skills.
But these are outstanding?
Outstanding.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
what Sean has left out is, not only is it a good idea, it's required.
Well, I figured you'd get to that. And so this is a requirement not only for a number of obvious reasons, but because we have put it into our policies and procedures for the town and said that this is something that we will make sure happens. So I guess the conversation for tonight is simply to say that we have a number of people that we've identified that will be letting the chairs of each of the boards know who their members are. And we need to set a deadline, I think, that this gets done and some recourse.
Okay, just so you know, we have sent notice individually, we have let the chairs know. We
Okay.
have harangued, and we have set deadlines, and they have come and gone.
So then what we're gonna do is set one last deadline and realize that there may be vacancies on some of our boards coming up that, because we have some very good people, but quite honestly, this is something that's very simple. And it's one of those things that it's hard to explain why you haven't done it. It takes a half hour. It's, working towards a good cause, which of course is preventing these sorts of situations from happening in our town. Workplace violence and sexual harassment claims do happen. And this is something that we really can't tolerate. So,
Don, do you have any opinion on the liability that we might be under by not pursuing this, or do you want to look at it?
Well, I'd like to look at it, but I'm interested in seeing what notices have gone out to them, and I think it's critical. It's not just a matter of preventing it, it's having people recognize when a problem exists or what could lead to a problem. So it's very important. And I did not realize it was only a half hour worth of time. So I think it's...
yeah.
Does everybody serve at the will of the board?
The planning board members do not.
So, I mean, could we basically say this has to be completed by whatever, fill in the blank, September 1st, or your position on the board will be withdrawn, that you'll no longer be entitled to?
I don't know that we can pull them off the board, especially the planning board members, but I think we can suspend them from sitting.
Yeah,
So that's to me a pretty clear path. Just tell them it's this is the drop dead. You either do this or you're suspended from the board until such time as compliance is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to do it.
Pat Ploger, Putnam Lake Park District Advisory Board. We have a couple members on our board, which is why I'm up here. One of the reasons, I think, is because it's an annual requirement. I have a hard time understanding. I mean, I went through tediously, and you are absolutely right, Mary Ann. If you take it to heart and really read everything and do everything, whether you're getting paid to sit there in the office or whether you're sitting in your home at your home computer, it takes about 2 hours. if you're taking it seriously and reading through everything and looking at the examples and so forth. I did whiz through this year, I will confess, in about a half hour, but that was whizzing through. Basically, I'm just doing it because it's required, so I got nothing out of it.
Well, did you get
Why
nothing,
is it
did you get nothing out of it, or was it more fair to say you didn't get anything out of it that you didn't, or the no,
Anything
because,
that I
mean,
already knew. Well, first of all, I came to it with 30
Knowledge.
years experience in the
Right.
construction industry where this was a huge,
Right.
issue.
Yeah.
So and as a woman, certainly, so I certainly, was aware of these issues and actually did some training, if you will, myself. The problem is mandating it annually. I think that it's like, we did it last year, why should we do it
But I mean,
again?
honestly, Pat, I mean, it's no secret I work for Farmers Insurance, so
Yes.
it's, corporate America.
Mhm.
I had to do it this year. I do it every year for Farmers Insurance, and I've done it. Well, I don't know what my record's been, so I won't say I've done it every year for the board. But as I've been required to do it for the board, I've done it for the board. So this year I did it twice, once for the board and once for Farmers, and Farmers requires it every year. So it's not like we're not aligned with corporate America.
But what's the thinking behind requiring it every year?
It's not us necessarily requiring it every year.
Who?
It's the Department of Labor that requires us to impose
Of the state of New York
every
or of
year.
US?
Everybody. It's the
But-
Department of Labor and PESH.
But there might be an option here, and I'm not sure what's better for people. I don't like online trainings. It's not my modality of learning. I'm not big on sitting at a computer for a half hour to learn something. I'd rather see it firsthand, in person.
Right.
The law only says that we have to train every year. It doesn't say it has to be online training, of course. So there's nothing precluding the town from creating a 30-minute session that the town, all these people on list have to come, and we have to find maybe a time at night where everybody sits for a half hour and listens or has a discussion. That could certainly meet the requirement. Typically, the online versions are done because people can do them at their own leisure. So you can do it at 12 o'clock at night if that's to your
Sure.
liking.
Yeah.
So that really goes back to what works and what you think would be appropriate for the audience. And if there's something that we think that we could do for the Putt Lake Park Advisory Board that's an in-person training, we could certainly do that. I understand what you're saying.
It's an hour, half hour, whatever, of their personal time. I don't
Correct.
know what the policy is for town employees, paid employees, whether they take it at their desks
So,
during the
for
workday and are paid for it. And I don't think that's an issue with, we don't get paid anyway, on our board.
But here's a for instance. We already have a town board member that goes to every one of your meetings, at least from now moving forward. Is this the kind of thing that next year we could have someone like myself or Councilman DeAndriano, when we're at a meeting, do a presentation or a training on workplace violence that would meet the criteria that we're doing annual training? We'd have to look into that, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't. It's
Well,
documentation, it's
you'd
assignment.
certainly have a captive board,
Right.
we'd be there, and it would be part of our board meeting. We'd have to schedule on the agenda, but at least we'd all be in compliance.
Well, here's another answer here too, because at Highway, we do in-person training.
Correct.
We can include, I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem if we added other people in there to sit through the training if they wanted to go. They don't want to do, but it comes out to the same thing.
Yeah.
People don't want to do it because they don't want to take their time to do it.
Right.
Right.
And especially when they're
That's
not
what
getting
it is.
paid for it.
Right.
There's an issue. As I said, town employees, I am sure, sit at their own desks for 2 hours and are paid, or however long it takes them, a half hour if they're whizzing through it, to take this. And I think people who are giving so much of their time to the town and not getting paid for it are then asked to do this mandatory thing annually. And that's, I think, where the problem lies. But I like your suggestion, Sean, if you could work
But the
something out.
test at the end of my training is going to be more difficult than the one that you took, that you whizzed through. So if you
But it's,
fail it,
but it's not a pass-fail. We all know that. We could all, no,
that's not true.
right?
That's not true.
Oh, well,
If
gee,
you
I-
get,
Yeah, we had to get an
it's
80%.
scored.
I
If
think.
you,
80%?
not only do you have to,
Only on one of them, though. One of them's
That's
graded.
interesting. You whiz through it, you don't know it's not a pass.
Yeah,
You did
right,
well,
right.
yeah.
She hacked us all.
so, I mean, I think that we can work towards creating something that'll work for everyone, but I think to get through this year, we're already in August, I think we need you to carry the message that says, hey, guys, take one for the team and for Putt Lake and,
As Sue, I usually copy Sue when she sends me, or Rich, the last one. When I send it out to my guys who haven't complied, I copy you, so you know that I am, the minute I get it, sending it out. You know, I'm the bad guy, but there's nothing I can do. And if you unappoint the people on my board, we're really in a tough spot in the middle of the summer. So please don't do that.
No.
Thank you.
But
Pat, they're backing us up against the wall.
As I say, they place us
I
in a
know.
difficult position, though.
I understand that.
If they-
But what's my authority over these guys?
Well,
And I'm saying
We're telling
guys
you that
advisedly.
guess what? They're not on the board if they don't do the training.
All right.
Black and white.
And they will say, thank you, Pat.
Yeah, but-
Well, I
Thank
mean,
you.
there's a point where, what else? what else
Okay,
can we
so
do?
we'll have a board of
One.
3 girls.
And-
Okay.
And again, Pat, you know, just what Sean said, if the problem is they don't want to do the online training, say something. Give us an alternative.
Okay, all right.
All right?
All right.
We'll be as accommodating as we can, getting the training to them. But they can't just ignore us.
Right, okay.
Fair.
I will give them the ultimatum.
we'll start putting together our training toolbox so that we can come to one of your meetings in the future and do a simple,
Well,
nice.
that would be lovely, I
That would be
think.
great. And it probably, in all fairness, we could tailor it to the specifics of how that board functions and look at, you
Right.
know.
Right.
um,
Our situations for
Yeah.
violence, I mean, you know, I don't think there's much for the other stuff, but you never know. Right, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I borrow that microphone? I'm afraid I can't.
Only if you're not gonna be violent.
We're not going to throw it at us.
One of his favorite topics.
From anything. That's my problem.
Oh, gosh. I'm almost afraid of what you're gonna say now, Ed.
I don't know why I'm such a calm, easygoing person.
Yes, you are.
I used to do this back in the DEP. Among other things, I was this DEP safety officer. But the only time I remember it being a problem was, it wasn't a problem. I had a full class, and they were all laborers and workers. You know? And a woman came up from Manhattan to the office to give the class, and she got so mad because when she started the class and she had a gun or something, one of the guys said, "Wait a second, I thought this was a class on how to sexually harass people, not how not to." And she got so mad. The laborers were all, my laborers back then were, shall we say, low class, not like the lovely ones we have here. But anyway, we tried and do it today, and I had my expert computer person with me, and it took us almost 2 hours. And then nothing to do with, I'm sure it would have been fine, but when my current wife pushed the button to send it on and get a certificate, it said, it kicked it.
Well,
Man-
it sounds like you failed the exam.
No, I got it.
Sure? I think you failed the
Now
exam.
he's going to throw the mic at you.
Well,
Slide over here.
we'll have to have a guy who comes in and checks our computer.
So,
Anyway, when a guy comes to check the computer, somebody, he can find out if it is still in there, or did it go away completely? If it went away completely, I'm not gonna, and it was such a nuisance for 2 hours, I don't have the work obligations here that other people do. I wouldn't mind coming here and doing it, I guess.
So what you're saying is you're volunteering to teach the class?
Oh, good Lord, no, I didn't.
No?
I didn't
Oh.
love that for decades, and put up a lot of abuse from people.
No, but I think, Ed, what we could do is, I think Sue would be gracious enough to print out the questions, and you could come in quick and do them in person.
Yeah,
It's-
but
Print them out?
I bet you can. You can print screen
I
everything.
like to see, I happen to come from an age of,
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I come from the age of hieroglyphics
We'll
and
set you
chisel.
up.
Okay, if you would, because nothing,
no, and you know, that offer is out there to anybody who wants to take the training, who's having a difficult time. We come in, we will set you up on a system and let you take it here, and we hold your hand to do it.
How do we get the verification that it's completed?
When you get,
Print out a certificate.
You have to send the certificate, or can we go online to look and see?
no, you can't go online.
You
to
can't look, it doesn't keep a
You
track.
have to, you-
Print the certificate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, what I do is you can print the PDF, so I have a copy of it.
Okay.
I know the reason that the county likes to use the online training is because you're talking about 400 or more employees, and so the tracking mechanism is beautiful, because as soon as somebody completes it, they don't even ask for your certificate, it prints into the system, and they know who, you know, they have probably the same list we have of a few people that are outstanding. But I think we can resolve this. But we do need to put the pressure on people to either do the training or come to the town and say, hey, I need an alternative method, and that's reasonable, you know. Okay.
Buy me a very nice lunch, I'll do it downstairs.
I would buy you a nice lunch anytime, Eddie. Don't worry. Okay, Putt Lake Park requests. I guess we'll approve contingent upon workplace violence training. Okay, I did go to the Park Advisory Board meeting the other night. Great group of people. They're very passionate about what they do, that's for sure. And Pat, you're a fantastic leader. You really are. They spoke about a number of purchases they'd like to make. One of it, which was adding a few more of the nice picnic tables that they purchased a while back. They want to add 3 more. They were previously quoted out at a cost of $650 per table. So I'd like to make a motion on their behalf to approve the purchase of 3 additional U-line picnic tables at an amount not to exceed $2,221.23. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
They also spoke about purchasing some outdoor message boards, or those kiosks that they can physically open. These are not electronic message boards. These are open up the doors, put in the postings so they can put out notices. They mentioned that despite the fact that they use social media quite a bit, they use emailing in different formats, people still seem to find out about their events from seeing the postings in the Putt Lake Market or on these kiosks. So they had wanted to buy 2 kiosks. They have a number of different items that they had looked at, and they are requesting to buy, again from the same company, the U-Line message boards. They are, the total amount would be $1,925. So I'll move that we approve that purchase. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Why do we have 2?
Because we weren't sure which way we were gonna go.
Okay.
So they made 2 recommendations because they wanted one regardless.
Okay.
That is all I have.
Okay, anybody else have any other business?
I've got a couple things. Should I start?
Sure.
All right.
Go.
First thing, I just wanted to actually say,
We'll get
you
to
want?
public recognition in a minute.
I just actually wanted to remind people about the opportunity to do bulk pickup. We paid our $100 fee, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and Russ and his sanitation crew, well, Russ didn't personally, I don't think, come out have to do it, but sanitation came out and picked up a large volume of stuff that we brought outside, and it was actually fabulous. So I just wanted to say thank you to sanitation, and if there's anyone out there who needs a one-time, once-a-year pickup, which, District 1, right? District 1. 2, District 2, to avail themselves of that, because it was a great thing to get rid of some stuff in the house. The next 2 things have to do with, I know I had asked about inquiring of DOT about the ability to put in sidewalks from the firehouse down. Tied into that, a resident had approached me about overgrowth on the bridge by 311 by 292. So if we haven't reached out to the state, I guess there's a bridge that goes over the stream. As a person who walks their dogs on that side of the road to get to the
With the DOT.
Were they?
Yesterday.
Well, there you go.
On the bridge, looking at the 3 very large poplar trees.
Okay.
That have been chewed by the beavers.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, they were saying that you can't look and see traffic coming unless you actually lean out into the lane.
Yeah.
So that it definitely needs to. So if you're going to
Well-
speak to them, maybe both issues.
The gentleman who I need to talk to the sidewalks about
Right.
didn't show up for the meeting. So
Gotcha. Okay.
talk about the sidewalks.
Okay.
But I will reach out back to them.
And then the last thing I was just going to mention, because I think all of us got to attend, we were able to attend the basketball court dedication. And I just wanted to reiterate our thanks to Mary Delanoy, who did a great presentation with her team from Sacred Heart. That was phenomenal. And I just think everything that has happened there at that site and everything that went in and everybody who had a hand in making it happen, it was just really kind of heartwarming to see that something like that, a community project, actually comes to fruition and is so well received by the community. So it was actually our honor, I think, just to be out there and see that. It's just, you know, it reminds me, I mean, it was a lot of division in the town when we you know, when the PLLC was breaking up and we were proposing a park district, and there's a lot of contention, and it just seems like we've really come a long way and sort of celebrated that. So it's nice to see. So
You're on a roll.
I'm on a roll. Oh, all right. I've just been handed this announcement. Well, it's actually a reminder. The All-American Concert is going to take place at 7 p.m. on July 22nd at the Rec Center. It is featuring the Southern Duchess Concert Band. It will feature patriotic pop and Broadway, and it is sponsored by the Duffel Bag and the town of Patterson. Free admission, and it's been a fabulous event in the past, so if you're available, please do come out.
Good man.
That is all. Thank you.
Charles? Sean?
I thought you had something on 4-H.
Oh, I've got a bunch of stuff.
Oh.
All right, other business. We've been doing some water testing out on Sapling Court, trying to come up with an answer about what's going on with the water. Town board had approved a number of individuals for additional testing. That's been completed. I did receive, there was one individual we tried to get into the program to have their water tested. Reached out to him on a number of occasions and never got back to us. And yesterday he called and said, "When are you testing my water?" So, I'd like to see if the town board would allow us to do one additional property out there, 44 North Street, for the amount of $59. I'll do that in the form of a motion. We'll see where it goes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was simple. So, I'm gonna move forward with getting the rest of the results out, Jen. Not gonna delay it because of this, but we'll get the last one done. Next on my agenda, Patterson EMS, the ambulance has been up, it's been running, we've been taking a lot of calls. So far, everything has been fairly successful, knock on wood. But we did run into one glitch with the billing company. We are actually starting to get checks in, and we're seeing some good results, but one of the things that the billing companies do in the industry that we were not aware of, that was part of the, not part of the contract, is that the billing companies, the insurance companies want to negotiate the price of the ambulance. They don't want to pay whatever the rate is. And so as a standard practice, the billing companies will negotiate, you know, a price for the ambulance call. Generally, that's not less, or at least with Proclaim, that's not less than a 10% reduction. But they do this all the time. Well, it's not part of the contract, and we can't, you know, we can't just allow them to do it without. So, and I've had a number of different discussions with Proclaim, you know, about this and where we can go with this. There are some insurance companies that do ask for more than the 10%. And this all needs to take place relatively quickly. And it's an interesting situation that if we refuse to negotiate, what they do is they claim that we're an out-of-network user, and therefore they send the full amount to the person who incurred the charge, the resident, and then we have to get the money from the resident, which is incredibly more difficult. So it's almost like extorting a reduction in the billing charges. That being said, I don't see any way out of doing this. So what I'd like to do is actually make a motion to authorize Proclaim to negotiate insurance reimbursement payments with insurance companies that Proclaim, Inc. is approved to accept a negotiation settlement of not less than 10% of the full amount due the town, and further, any reduction exceeding 10% reduction will require the prior approval of either the town supervisor, town controller, or town EMS administrator, and further that this authorization will run concurrent with the present contract between Town of Patterson and Proclaim, Inc., and will terminate with said contract.
There was
So moved.
Can we,
The intent is to let them go to a
Negotiate.
max of 10%.
To accept payment with a 10% reduction through a negotiated process.
you said not less than
Yeah, not less
10%.
than
Yeah.
10%. Should it not be no more than? Accept payment.
Okay, no
with a
more than
reduction,
10%.
No more than 10%.
So just before we vote on it, can we just talk about it for discussion or approve it? I'll second for discussion.
Sure.
I thought that they would come back and say, like, for instance, if I go get an MRI, you know, and they bill $1,200 for the MRI, they'll pay whatever the workers' comp rate is for an MRI. So they'll reduce it and they'll pay that. Is it the same practice in the industry with ambulance? Or are they just randomly saying they want 10% reduction?
It's the same practice, but they're trying to,
Oh, sorry.
sorry. It's the same practice. They're just trying to make it so that the patient is not receiving the check. So they're trying to make another deal. You know, they're probably making a deal on top of it with the patient.
Okay.
But this is a totally separate deal that they want to make with the people, the town.
Okay.
Because they
mean-
know that once the patient gets the
Money,
check,
it's- Right.
We're not going to see
it's
it.
much more difficult
Right.
for us to get that money.
I mean, I'm not offended by 10%. I just wasn't sure what the underlying basis was for the reduction. So, okay.
Well, I think that the underlying basis for the reduction is the insurance companies are trying to nickel and dime everything and push us down.
Yes, I know. I work for one.
Yeah, there you go.
And so, just so I'm clear, so the way the motion was said
They
was
don't pay ambulance bills.
approved to accept a negotiated settlement of not less than 10% of the full amount. That would mean a $100 bill, we're saying they're allowed to go down to 90. Not $10, obviously.
Correct.
Right.
So that's where we were. Okay, great.
Okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, last on my agenda that we just got in this week. Now, every year, we're asked by the Putnam County 4-H Fair
Yes.
to support the event by picking out either a tent sponsor or animal sponsor, showmanship trophy.
I knew it. We're hurting rabbits again, aren't we?
Yes, herding rabbits. So I did call them up because normally we do this in April.
Right.
And here it is in July, 2 weeks before the Putnam County Fair, and I asked them what is still available. And they didn't know, so they asked just to do a general sponsorship for trophies. So I'd like to make a motion that we sponsor a showmanship trophy in the amount of $45 for the 46th annual Putnam County 4-H Fair being held July 28th and 30th. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I am done. Public recognition.
You took care of me.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
What were you here for?
44 North Street.
Oh, okay.
Fred, how are you?
Perfect.
Okay, you're done.
Yep.
So they're gonna call you. I'm gonna call them tomorrow. They're gonna call you, so,
Water testing.
okay?
They couldn't get back to me. My Verizon line was dead.
Really?
Every time it
That'll do it.
rains, my phone was going out for a week at a time.
Wow.
And you call them up tomorrow, and it's a sunny day, it will be here next Wednesday. They come, the lines were good then, there's nothing wrong with your phone. Next time it rained, another week, I'm out. So I had to switch to Comcast. I gave up with Verizon.
Yeah.
They've
That's
been-
why nobody could get me.
They've been very tough in this
Wow.
area. If that happens again, because I will be reaching out to them in the morning, if you haven't heard from them within a few days, please get a hold of me somehow, and we'll get it done.
Well, it's happened to everybody on North Street, because what it seems, all they do is they come and they find two lines that are good, hook you into that one. The next time it rains, my neighbor's out, so they switch his.
I'm having a similar problem down with our fire system down at the wastewater treatment plant. It's constantly going out. You know, it'll go out for a second and go right back in, and then I get the alarm call.
I
So,
wish mine was a second, mine's, does it by a week.
okay, so we'll get you taken care of. All right, anybody else have anything they wish to address to the board?
Borrow your microphone?
Somebody want to run it over to him?
I think he wants to make a motion to adjourn. It has something to do with her.
Before I forget, it certainly does one's heart good in Putnam Lake. I have not passed that new basketball court without seeing kids playing it. And that's kids, which we never had before, of both genders and every age you can imagine. The baseball field is great, but it's always the same people with teams and everything else. I don't know where kids went before, but I know where they go now. Thank you very much. But the other thing I got me is talking about phones and things. Is it ever going to happen that that Putnam Lake, I don't know how far that extends, has some choice in what phone system they're going to use? For the years that I was on the board, I used to talk to the Comcasters only, and they would lie to me through their teeth. They would make it up. I'd say, oh no, we can't do it because of this, that, and the other thing. It's the town, they usually used to say, it was the town board won't let us. They won't sign a contract. And I finally got to somebody in high authority in the company, and I said, you're liars. And they said, well, that's what we're in business for. And is there anything like a quasi-public service that they can be made to stop lying and put in let somebody else? They say they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. Period. It's not that there's any difficulty. You know, there's special birds bite our lines. They just don't feel like it. It's not in our plan. I mean, because when you see the prices that we pay for a combination of phone and TV, and then you see what's advertised in the papers for the same thing, it seems like we're trying to talk to Mars. And there must be somebody who can sue them or something, put another company so they compete with each other, because they can just go there tomorrow and say, we've decided to raise the rates in Putnam Lake, I don't know how big it is, by 20%. What are you going to do about it? It's us or nobody. So I know it's a legal thing. I'm not that, I don't know what the answer is, but somebody got to be in charge.
The answer, Mr. O'Connor, there are a number of different services. You can buy Netflix, you can buy Amazon Fire Stick, but really for quality cable TV, there are two options in this area. One is Comcast, the other is Verizon Fios.
Yes.
No?
But one of them is not. But one of them is not there.
I understand that. So, I mean, I heard that when I was running for office from a lot of different people. I had worked with our former supervisor prior to that, when I was town planner, to try to bring Fios in, and we actually got a hold of attorney representing them. And what we were told is they've extended their network as far as they're going to extend it in this area, and they have no business plans to extend it at this time further.
Exactly the same words I was told.
When I took office, I sent them another letter, and that's exactly the letter I got back from Verizon, that they have no plans on extending. Now, they are regulated, they are overseen by the Public Service Commission as far as billing rates. I don't know that the Public Service Commission can require them to start putting in new service. And as you've heard, the existing service is struggling, and we all know that. Everybody that has a landline with Verizon, we have crackly phones here, crackly phones home. Verizon is not investing in New York State. They're not investing in this area, and that's a shame.
Well, yeah, but that's not how, that works fine with applesauce and things. But with a quasi-public service availability question, they shouldn't have the choice. What if New York State Liquor and Gas said, nah, we don't feel like it anymore. We don't feel like it. That's what they told me, we don't feel like it. So you can do without here. Live with an open fire. Because we don't feel like extending it.
But we're having that trouble in this area with all our utilities. I mean, for those of you who don't realize, we're having some great trouble with NYSEG. The people that are currently there over at the Brewster substation who service our lines are great people, and they're doing a wonderful job.
Yes.
But a few years ago, you went over there were 200 to 400 people working out of that yard. Now there's 30 to 40. They're not replacing the people that they need to properly service our lines. As a result, we're having power fluctuations. We're having lost power more frequently. You know, and that's the case across the board with all the utilities. You know, they're looking at the profit, and the state is allowing them to look at the profit more than they are the service.
That's exactly right. I thought that in a public service utility, you were not allowed to do that. Is there anybody in the state can tell them that? Now that they've stopped lying to me about and admit that they could put it there, but they say they won't. And here, take this and stick it someplace where the sun is murky. But anyway, is there any legal action that you can tell them? You know, it's
There's legal actions. There's all types of legal actions, but you're talking about a monstrous action against a company like Verizon. It's kind of not practical. I don't know the answer to whether the Public Service Commission can force them to expand it, but my feeling is no. These entities have to obtain a certificate of need to prove that they should be allowed to enter into a certain franchise area. The town then grants them a franchise, but I don't think there's any way to compel them to make business decisions. I certainly don't know of any.
I don't know of any.
It's if the laws of the marketplace and competition don't compel them to come, I don't think there's anything that you can really do. I don't know. It's not.
well, I thought our country ran on other law than the law of the marketplace.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I got one question. Is it
Microphone.
a possibility of getting another besides Comcast cable company coming here besides
Well,
them?
that's what we were just talking about, is the only other real competition is
Is that by
Verizon.
contract though, that they can only, Comcast has this area?
No. But anybody can come in who wishes to come in. For cable TV, they need to get a franchise agreement with the town. This town is more than willing to entertain anybody coming in that wishes to provide the service with a franchise agreement. Typically, it's only Verizon Fios that is in the area. They're in Carmel, they're in Kent, I think they're in Southeast. They're not extending their network.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you this, they run fiber optic, which is their Fios system, to every cell tower. They have to have it at every cell tower. So I know it's running through parts of Putnam Lake. I know it's running through parts of Patterson. But to get it out to the residential areas in the town of Patterson, they're just not interested in extending it out.
Well, the trend is also, I think, a lot of households, it used to be you never find a household without cable. Now you're finding more and more people who are just dropping cable completely, as you indicated, Fire Stick, Netflix, and they've had enough. And yeah, Apple TV or whatever. So I think financially they're hurting, so that they're not looking to extend their franchises. That seems to be the wave of the future.
They're hurting because everybody's fed up with the lousy service.
Right. It's kind of the self-fulfilling.
Yeah.
Motion adjourned.
No. You want to do anything with Pat? Do you want to do anything with? Oh God. National Night Out.
Oh, good.
You want the flyer?
No, I pretty much know what's happening. I was going to save this for the next board meeting, but
Do it then, too.
I'll do it again then. Once again, for the second time in Putnam County and in the town of Patterson, the Putnam Lake Park District Neighborhood Watch Program is hosting National Night Out, which is a huge block party that we're throwing on Memorial Field, August 1st from 6 until 9 in the evening. Free refreshments, activities for the kids, and animals, and a huge stress on crime prevention and safety issues. So we will have fire department and the sheriff's department with their dogs, and a bounce house and the rec center's coming out to have some fun activities for the kids. And it's all sending a message out to potential criminals that they are not welcome in our community. And we are banded together to keep them out, so, and working with law enforcement. So we invited all of you to come and make your official presence known, and we'll see you there. And I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think, and also just to stress improving relationship with law enforcement, just in communities. It's so critical, especially in light of the events of the last 2 weeks, so.
Yeah, if I can just add, this is, it was a great event last year. I attended, well run. This is an event that occurs nationally. And thanks to Councilman Pete D'Andriano and Pat Ploger for bringing it first to Putnam County, town of Patterson. So. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.